What's up, YouTube? I bought a Glock 47 a week or two ago, and I posted a video just asking for what you'd like me to put on it. Trigger, any accessories, things along those lines. And you guys did not disappoint. There were, I don't know, a couple hundred comments, so I do try my best to look through all the comments, and the main thing that people wanted were triggers, which is the main thing I was asking for feedback on, but also back straps. Some different types of back straps to try. And I have a few of those that I'll be doing for a later video. But for today, I'm going to talk about the triggers. So the Glock triggers with just a 4.5-pound striker spring actually work pretty well. But having an aftermarket trigger sounds like fun for something to test and play around with. The common question I got was, what about the Glock performance trigger? I've used that trigger some, had a bunch of them in Ben's guns. The problem, honestly, is that they required cleaning. Otherwise, they get to be pretty heavy. So they start off feeling okay, but within 5,000 rounds or so, they end up being 6, 7, 8, 9 pounds, somewhere in there. And then you just add lubrication to it, and it goes back to normal. So for a Glock, I find that quite annoying. So I pulled them out of Ben's guns just because, well, Ben shoots quite a bit, and neither one of us love that you'd have to like lubricate the trigger or take it out that fast. I've been told by a couple friends who are pretty nerdy about such things, you can do a little bit of like polishing and bending and stuff to make the trigger not do that, but I kind of like just having factory stuff the way it comes, even if it's aftermarket from the company. So the next one I got a lot of comments on was Apex. I've used the Apex triggers in Glocks a bunch. I really like them. They're in, I don't know, half a dozen of Ben's guns that I've installed. No issues at all. They're kind of a known quantity as far as I'm concerned because they work well and no issues. So the comments I got said, try something new that you haven't already tried. That way, well, I mean, I could be the guinea pig for you guys. Honestly, that was the feedback. So the feedback I got was for two different triggers. One of which it's called Trigger Tech Ace is the name of it. I have a couple friends that have them also that really, really like them. And it sounds like the trigger's pretty good. But there's one small problem. It requires a modification of the frame. Let's see if I can get... Ooh, I actually got a decent angle, I think. I'm always terrible at this stuff. This little square piece... Yeah, you can kind of see it. This little square piece right here on the back has to get removed. I think that's so the... Something about the housing or the parts it comes with. It requires you to modify the gun to install that trigger. I'm not a super huge fan of that. If I don't have to, I prefer just to have the gun stock. So, also, Troy McManus and all of his wisdom deemed it not legal for USPSA competition for people interested in shooting competition. Honestly, that's kind of laughable from Troy since he's got, I mean, I'm kind of petty and can't help myself, but he's been bumped to open division in matches just for showing up with gear that's not compliant with the rules he set. So, like a lot of things USPSA, it's kind of laughable, but with this one, I guess I can understand why they don't allow it. So, the other one that I got a ton of feedback on asking for is the Tactical Trigger, is the name of the company. Maybe, I don't know, a little bit goofy of a name, Tactical Trigger. I'd never heard of this one until maybe a year ago when I saw one on Lucas's gun. So Lucas and Brantley Merriam, for people familiar, Brantley was second place at USPSA Carry Optics. Both those guys use the trigger and really like it, speak highly of it. So to plug my own stuff, I guess, I interviewed Brantley last week or the week before for my podcast, Training Group Live. That'll be dropping within the next week. It's in queue, so if people want to hear more of Brantley, anyway, he'll be on my podcast within a week of you hearing this. But anyway, Brantley and Lucas both like that trigger. You don't have to modify the frame, so that one seemed like the one to go with. There's a bunch of different models from them. Some are like a Glock performance trigger with a different shoe. I don't remember all the options. I asked Brantley which one to get. He said just get the aluminum trigger one. So that's the one I got. So that's the shape of the trigger. I don't know what all people care about. but kind of just showing you how the trigger kind of curves and that kind of stuff. It's comfortable. As far as like the reach of the trigger, it feels just about right to me. No issues at all. I've had it to the range a couple times, and it's been just my desk gun that gets dry fired quite a bit for the last several days. So not by any means worn in, but kind of get a decent feel of how the trigger is. When I got it from them, it came with, somebody's going to correct me, I'm not going to get it all right, the housing piece in the back of the frame that has the connector that the trigger bars connect to. That whole kind of triangular housing comes intact. It's just zip tied to keep the connector and the trigger bar and everything all kind of together. Then the trigger bar and the trigger are what comes in the package. So all you have to do, legit, is just remove the pins, pull the old trigger out, drop the new one in with the housing, and it's ready to go. The only downside, maybe if there is one, to the trigger is it's kind of expensive. I think it was around $180 shipped to me, which is, I mean, oops, apologize. It's not really inexpensive, and you could get an Apex trigger, which has kind of been up till now my go-to favorite, for around $130 is retail, and they do sales on them fairly often, so you can get them, if you shop around, you can get a better deal than that on them. The tactical trigger I didn't see cheaper anywhere else, so I just bought it directly from the website. Again, I think shipped it's around $180. The only other thing I did after dropping that in was I changed the striker spring to a 4.5-pound Wolf striker spring. Other than that, the gun's completely stock. Well, other than obviously an optic plate from Arise Manufacturing and a red dot. This one has a HoloSun 507 comp. Oh, we're making a video about backstraps too in the future. That was something I got a lot of questions and feedback about. But otherwise, for the trigger and ignition part, the whole thing just dropped in, and that was it. So, like I said, I've had it to the range a couple times. One more time to kind of give you an idea of how the trigger itself is. It's got this little bit of whatever mush pre-travel at the beginning. And then it does, like, it breaks pretty clean. If I pull the trigger slowly and just stack pressure, you can kind of feel it creep along a little bit. But overall, it's not that bad. I suspect that'll get better with some more use. The question is this worth $180 compared to an Apex, which is $50 cheaper? I'll need to shoot it more to find out. So far, I really like it. One thing kind of that I noticed about this trigger, especially initially, it was not super light or super crisp. It's got smoother since I've just been shooting it, dry firing it more. Like I said, it's just kind of my desk gun that while a video game's loading or whatever, reading through emails, just dry firing the gun and just kind of just messing with it. The trigger has got lighter since then, so I suspect, well, right now it's got less than 1,000 rounds on it. So I suppose once it gets a few more 1,000 rounds and gets dry fired a bit more, I expect it to smooth up. But overall, it's not bad right now. The one thing I did really like about it was the reset. I feel like the reset's really positive. So yesterday I was shooting like some close, fast, kind of like distance change-up or focal depth type drills, and I was really trying to hammer hard on the closer targets. And the thing I liked about the trigger was how positive it was, so it felt like it was really easy. Like the trigger just snapped back to reset, and it was easy to fire the next shot. The problem is, like on video, I can't really show that to you in a way that's like, it's going to make sense, because if you watch this trigger reset, and then you watch another trigger reset, I got some stuff to say about this one. If we watch an Overwatch precision trigger reset, it looks basically the same. You can't tell a difference. So some of this is just in feel, and not so much in a way that like numbers would back up. But anyway, I really like the way that trigger resets. Real talk, right now, the tactical trigger compared to the Apex, it'd be about a wash at this point for me as far as a preference goes. The Apex trigger, the shoe is a little bit further forward, so I don't know if you like it or don't like it. It's just a little bit difference in feel. And the Apex trigger has a flat face, whereas this one's a little bit more curved. Again, kind of just preference stuff. So, I don't know. For $50, would you take the Apex over this? Maybe. I'll make another video again after I have at least 5,000 rounds through it to maybe make a more informed opinion. One thing I'll say in contrast, was using this gun next to that one today. I was just shooting both my Glocks just to make sure, well, honestly, they're both like reliable, zeroed, no issues. Just putting a few thousand rounds through them just to make sure they're good to go, because they're both going with me on a teaching thing in the next month or so. The one thing I noticed about the Overwatch trigger that I don't necessarily, that I don't love, but it'll be a little bit different to articulate to you. If you watch me press the trigger on this it's way lighter than any Apex I've had or the tactical trigger. As far as you can feel it stop at the wall, but it kind of just rolls. So in trigger pull weight, this is lighter. And like I said, it just kind of rolls. It's a rolling break. If I was going to like bullseye shoot, this Overwatch should be way better, in my opinion, just because it feels like you just keep stacking pressure and the trigger kind of rolls and then it just breaks nicely. But for rapid fire shooting, especially at distance, I actually found myself not liking how undefined it was. It felt like the whole thing was more mushy and easier just to roll through. And for shooting at distance, I really preferred this one, even though it's heavier. And then for close shooting, I really liked how aggressive the reset was. I think I'd trigger freeze with the Overwatch once, which that would have been all me, just firing hand pressure. But it just felt like it wasn't snapping back on my finger as hard. And with the tactical trigger, I could split the gun. Maybe not in a way the numbers would show, but I could split the gun harder on a close target. So anyway, that's my thoughts on tactical triggers so far. I like it. Right now, I would say this would be tied with Apex triggers for my favorite Glock trigger. But with some more time and getting this broke in more, maybe I'll have an opinion if I like it, if I'd put it at first or second place. Right now, I think it's a great choice. We'll see how it goes. That Trigger Tech Ace trigger, I'll probably have one of those in the future also, just because, that's what the people want. I've had several, I was just on the phone with Mr. Steger like 15 minutes ago before I hit record for this, and he said some people had talked to him about it also. A couple mutual friends we have. They really like it. So anyway, that might still be something I test in the future. But for right now, I'm going to shred with this tactical trigger, and I'll keep you posted with how it goes. Anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, feel free to drop them in the comments. I do my best to read through the comments, so if you have any specific questions you want answered about the trigger, I'll either answer it in the comments if I can, or if I get enough questions, I'll just make a follow-up video if there's any information I didn't drop that you guys would like. So appreciate you watching. Like, share, subscribe, and all that crap if you want to. If you don't, that's totally fine too. Either way, I appreciate you watching. Have a good day.